Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing a university Q&A. I asked some questions over on my Instagram, basically any queries that you had about university, specific to Nottingham Trent or not, my degree, anything basically university related. So if you want to watch this Q&A and find out some of the answers, then please keep watching. So I will be answering the questions from my iPad. Like I said before, I film on my phone. So the first question that I got was, do you know any good places for bottomless brunch in Nottingham? And yes, I do. For my 21st birthday, I went to a place called Copper, and they did, actually a lot of places do bottomless brunch, but I just found, like, if you know Copper at all, it is, I'm trying to think of what's around it. So it's right outside the tram stop. You've got a Starbucks, and you've got, it's not the Royal Albert Hall, but is it? It's like a big hall and near the corner house. So it's this really nice place, and you can get a little bit dressed up. It's got a couple of like tiers. You've got the bottom tier, you've got a second one, then you've got one on top, which I think is like a private room that you can hire. So me and a couple of my friends went there for my 21st. So we had our brunch, we got the bottomless cocktails, and all of it was really good. To be fair, by the end of it, even though you're having a few drinks at a time, we were all pissed. And we had a time slot of I think 2 hours. So I know from personally going to Copper, that's a really great place to go if you want to go to a bottomless brunch. I know that Revolution do bottomless brunches as well, and we have 2 Revs. We probably have loads of Revs in Nottingham, but the 2 that I can think of is just like Revolution Vodka and Revolution Tequila. So I know they both do bottomless brunches. I also think there's loads of bars and places and nice restaurants in Nottingham itself, so I'm sure there's plenty more options that you can, places that you can go for bottomless brunch. But for me, I went to Copper for my 21st and it was really good. I would definitely recommend going back there because it's such a nice atmosphere, and I wanted somewhere you could dress up a little bit and it feels like more of a special occasion. So I would say Copper. The second question is, what was your favourite meal to cook on a budget? Now that's a really good question. I have recently uploaded a video on my university series. It should be the video before this, I think, in terms of my series, is how to budget and save your uni loan. And within that video I gave a tip on bulk buying and cooking in bulk and then freezing. So my favourite meal to cook on a budget would probably be, I did really enjoy making spaghetti bolognese from scratch. I also made even though I'm not vegetarian, a veggie curry. So I do a sweet potato, chickpea and spinach curry. I really enjoyed that. So they're the things that I probably cook the most, and also like all the obvious stuff like stir fry, made those quite a lot. So if I had to name 3, it would be my spaghetti bolognese, vegetarian curry and stir fry. So the next question is, would you do another uni course in the future? Straight away my mind says no, because I know that I've kind of been there, done that, and I felt very ready to finish uni when I did. However, if I was in a job and I could kind of do the degree whilst working, then yeah, definitely I'm always open to gaining more qualifications and bettering myself. But in terms of doing another 3 years, right now my mind's saying no. I don't think I could put myself through that again. Even though I loved my experience, I just feel now very much at the point where I want a job, I want to start working, I want to start my career, and I would think that if I was to go back to uni right now, I'm always taking a step back. So never say never, but right now, no, I don't have any intentions of doing another uni course in the future unless it was something that I could do whilst working. Another thing that I've been asked is things you took to uni but never used. I think one thing that I'm thinking about right away is I bought a laundry bin that you throw all your like dirty clothes in, and I also bought a laundry basket. I don't think you need both. I pretty much just use my laundry bin to take down the stairs with me to put in the washing machine. So you don't need a laundry bin and a laundry basket, you just need one or the other. I suppose in first year, potentially, if I was to use the washing machines, I could put those things from the laundry bin into the basket. Although the basket did come in useful because it was really quite big and it helped when I was moving into my flat and then moving from the flat into the house, because it was just huge. I could put all my pots and pans in there. But in terms of things that I didn't use, straight away my mind goes to that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I brought with me that I didn't need. I bought loads and loads of tea towels, and I think really you need a couple, maybe two, because as soon as you get into your house, everybody else has got 2 or 3 tea towels. You don't need about 15 tea towels. So you don't need loads of those. You don't need loads of cutlery, just like maybe 4. So you could have 2 dirty, 2 clean. Anything else that... At the minute I can't really think, though those are the things that come to mind straight away, things that I took but I didn't really use, and they're really quite boring things, so it doesn't really matter that I didn't use them. Somebody else has asked, worst night out. I think I have spoken about this in a video before, one of my worst nights out is a night that didn't even happen, which was my 3rd year in refreshers. We didn't buy any events, any tickets or the wristbands. We just thought, we'll see how we feel. If we want to go to a club event, we'll just line up and get in that way. And I never said this before, but we went to Rock City. We lined up, it started raining, the queue was really long, and in the end we couldn't even be bothered and we went straight back home. So we did the whole pre-drinks, taking pictures, getting ready for the night out, left, and we didn't even have the night out. So I suppose it wasn't even a night out, but the first thing that I think about when my worst memory is that, because we didn't even make it out. Other than that, nothing too disastrous. They were all quite similar. Another one that I'm thinking about, and this makes me laugh if my friends are watching, is when my 2 best friends, their 21st birthday, and this is by no means a worst night out, it was just like something I hadn't experienced before. So it was my 2 best friends' 21st birthday, and we had this house party for pre-drinks, which I forget we even went out because the house party was so great, and it all kind of went downhill as soon as we left the house to go to the club, because my 2 best friends, they're twins, they had a big fallout, and because of it, the 3 of us are best friends and I've never seen them fall out with each other before, so I was put in the middle then of oh, I feel uncomfortable because they've fallen out with each other. I don't know who to go and comfort, and we ended up leaving the club early-ish, and it was snowing, and we were hardly wearing anything. Very minimal clothing, literally like a bodysuit and shorts. So it was snowing, the girls had fallen out, we were walking back home, we left the club early, and it was actually, was it their 21st? I think it was their 20th actually, not their 21st. Yeah, it was their 20th. It was their 20th birthday. So that's kind of another one. It's funny now because obviously they're friends again. But that's another one that comes to mind when I think of worst nights out, just because it was snowing, it was their birthday, they'd fallen out. It's funny to look back on now. Another question that I got is, what was uni like? Did you enjoy it? I never went to university myself. Uni life is completely different to anything that I've ever experienced before. I did really enjoy being a student. I don't want to do it again, but I really enjoyed the time that I had. In terms of what is it actually like, I think if you watch my other videos, like my uni year 1, 2 and 3, you'll get a grasp of my uni experience and what uni was like for me. But it's very you're just in this bubble where you're studying really hard for this one thing, yet you're living with your best friends. It's just a really exciting time. And there's constantly new things happening, and there's always something going on. So it's different to anything else that I've ever experienced uni life. And if you watch my other videos, you'll kind of get an idea of how my experience was. So one of my friends actually has asked, what was your go-to supermarket and go-to dinner? So I've kind of answered this question a little bit about my favourite budget meal. My go-to supermarket, I had two. So I had an Aldi, which was really close to my uni home. So I would literally have to walk past that to go home. So I'd say Aldi in the beginning, although I became not a snob, but Aldi, especially with students, can get so busy. People just leave their trolleys in the middle of the aisles. They're really quick when you're scanning your items. They're like throwing it off the belt and like trying to pack everything. That in the end I was like, oh, I almost just want to do it myself. So in the end I just went to Tesco's. We had a Tesco Express in the Victoria Centre, and I just went there for my food shop in the end, because I like to just really just take my time, see what there is there any deals going on, is there any things that have been reduced, make sure I get good deals and I'm not just rushing, oh, I'll get that for the sake of it, and then I want to just like scan it and pack it myself. I almost don't want to like talk to anybody or feel rushed. So in the end I just went to Tesco's, but my two go-tos were Aldi and Tesco's. And go-to dinner, other than the ones that I've already said, a salad, which I know is really boring, but my own dinners I could try and control what I was eating. I was trying to eat a little bit healthier. I had like girls' holidays and things coming up, so I wanted to look my best. So a lot of the time my go-to dinner was a salad with some chicken that'd probably been cooked in one of those Maggie's like wrap, like flavour wraps that you cook the chicken in, avocado, and maybe some rice in it as well. So yeah, quite boring, but one of my go-tos was like a salad with chicken, rice, avocado, that kind of thing. Somebody else has said, which is harder, getting to uni or uni itself? I think A-levels was harder personally, and I think definitely getting to uni was really hard. Like the A-levels side of things, doing your personal statements, I think A-levels definitely were really intense, and I thought for a while that A-levels is actually harder than the degree, because there's so much pressure on getting into a uni, getting into a certain type of uni, getting an unconditional offer, doing your personal statement, you're working towards this goal, that I think trying to get to uni in a sense is actually harder than uni itself. Yeah, so I would agree with you that A-levels is probably harder in a sense than my degree, because there's a lot of pressure to get into uni, a certain type of uni, and once you're at uni you're there and you have a lot of support. You have 3 years or 4 years to kind of improve yourself, learn things, get some experience, and with A-levels really it's kind of all about the last year. So it's kind of like you've got this 1 year condensed down into really pulling it off. So I'd say yeah, A-levels was harder, and I think trying to get into uni is harder than uni itself. Somebody else has asked, if you were to do it all over again, would you do it differently? Like go to a different uni or do a different course? I definitely don't think I would have gone to a different uni. I was really happy at Nottingham Trent. I think they offer amazing services, amazing opportunities. I've spoken before that their like student services, and just any services and additional things that they offer are so good. They are all about looking after the students, giving you opportunities. They won University of the Year by The Guardian in 2019, which was the year that I graduated. So I definitely wouldn't have chose a different uni. In terms of a different course, on reflection, potentially I would have chosen something that was more business than law. just because whilst I was studying it, even though I loved learning about the law side of things, and I'm really happy to have a law degree, I definitely can see that business is where I thrived. I got my better grades. It made more sense to me. I think I'm more business minded than law minded, hence why I haven't gone on to do my postgraduate in law and pursue that route as a career. So I think potentially more business management. But then again, I was actually looking at just business degrees when I was looking at unis, and they didn't at that time attract me. I didn't want to do just business, and the law side of it really interested me. So probably not. I'm not sure. I'm kind of 50-50 because I think maybe I'll just think business management / HR related, but at the same time I did really enjoy the law side of things and the business side of my degree. So whether those business modules would have been different had I done a different course, and they be thinking about that differently. So I'm just going to say I definitely wouldn't have done a different uni, potentially 50-50 a different course, but I also don't regret the one that I did. Another question is, why did you choose the university you chose? So like I said before, I went to Nottingham Trent University, and initially which some people think I chose that uni because it's really close to where my boyfriend lives. So people thought I chose that so I could continue to see him, but that I actually chose the uni before I met him, so that was just a big coincidence and convenience. But I chose Nottingham Trent because initially I really wanted to learn a language and potentially study abroad, and I was looking at Italian, and Nottingham Trent offered really great year abroad schemes. I know that my course offered that. They offered languages and that kind of thing. So actually initially what attracted me to the uni was all of the opportunities and additional things that they offer. Even though I didn't end up learning a language, I didn't do a year abroad, initially that was what attracted me, which is funny because I didn't end up doing those things anyway. And also I heard that I had a really good nightlife. Not that I'm a huge party person going out, but yeah, I just was drawn to it. And as soon as I actually looked around the uni, because I looked around a few others, it's not to shade these unis at all, but I went to University of Lincoln, and it really looked very similar to my college that I went to. And I think I wanted somewhere that looked very traditional, how I imagined a uni to look, almost like an Oxford style old English uni, and that was like more of a modern, reminded me of college, and I wanted something that felt like a step up, something different to where I had just been. So before I actually went to look at the uni, it was actually the language and the year abroad that attracted me. But whilst I was there, seeing the buildings and the city itself, that is then what drew me more towards wanting to study at Nottingham Trent, because the main university building is gorgeous. Like it's I'll insert a picture, but it's all really reminds me of how I thought a uni would look, and I imagine having my graduation picture taken on the steps, which I actually do. So I know it sounds a bit strange that the aesthetic of the building is what made me think, yeah, I want to go here, but I could just imagine myself being there. And when I was looking around with my mum, she said, look, I could really imagine you being here too. So that's why I chose Nottingham Trent. Another person's asked, how many colleges did you apply to? So I think there's like an American college for university, so I applied for I think 5 universities. I can't even really remember the other ones that I applied for. I want to say potentially my backup uni was Northampton, but even then I actually only went to look around Nottingham Trent and Lincoln, and I knew I didn't want to go Lincoln, so it's kind of good that it worked out the way it did, because I would have been going to a uni that I hadn't looked around or didn't really know much about. But I had to apply for 5. I don't know what it's like in America, whether you can just apply for loads or you can specifically apply for however many you want. But I think whereas in England we have to apply for 5. So another question I've been asked is, what do you miss the most? Definitely the the structure, the routine, obviously my friends, living with my friends. I think it really just felt like it was a time in my life that was carefree. I had no responsibilities and you could just live very spontaneously because I lived literally in the city centre. So it was kind of like, if uni was done for the day, I wasn't going to go to work in the evening because I worked on weekends. So it was like potentially a Thursday night, all of the girls have finished uni, or be like, oh, should we just go for a drink? Should we go to the cinema? Should we go for some food? And that kind of like, oh, let's just go out. It's literally just like a 2-minute walk. Having that convenience of like location and living with your friends, I miss that the most. Just being like carefree, spontaneous. For now, I'm just worried about jobs, money, savings, like proper adult life. Whereas at uni it was just kind of like the hardest decision on my day is what I was going to have for dinner. So probably that side of things is what I miss the most. Somebody else is asked, what's freshers like? I think for everybody it's different. A lot of people, some people don't even do freshers. They'll start uni afterwards, or others will just do 1 or 2 nights at freshers. I actually didn't do the hot every night. I missed the last one because I had to work. But freshers is so fun. It's just such a huge experience for you to meet people, and I think when you're drunk, that's like the time for you to kind of just be a bit overconfident, make friends and make new friends, and then you can like pre with them the next night, and really just put yourself out there. So freshers is just a time for you to get a feel of the people that you're going to be living with, studying with, the city that you're going to be studying in, and just like coming to terms with like just celebrating this new chapter. Everybody's in it together, so it's really fun, it's exciting, you learn a lot, you make a lot of new friends, you meet a lot of people. It can be quite overwhelming, but overall freshers is really fun, an amazing experience, and I think everybody should at least do freshers in the first year. Refreshers, like I said before, I think is even better than freshers, and we didn't really even do freshers and refreshers in the 3rd year, but I think everybody should at least go out one night during their freshers, because it is, like I said, such a great way to meet people, and so many memories even now were started and made from those nights. I still have a couple of pictures from like the first night of freshers, and looking back on those, and like, wow, we were such babies. Yeah, so I think everybody should do it. Freshers is great. Someone else said, which are some of the most affordable clubs and bars in Nottingham? So in terms of clubs, to be fair, I only really went to Rock City, and I am quite a cheapskate in the fact that I will get pretty pissed before I go at pre-drinks. So then when I'm at the clubs, I barely buy a drink, because by the time that I'm there, I need to sober up a bit. So to be fair, I don't even really know what are the cheapest clubs, because I didn't go out the most whilst I was at uni, and again, I didn't really buy a lot of drinks whilst I was out. But in terms of cheap, not that it's a club, but in terms of affordable bars, obviously everywhere has spoons, so a lot of people would start off drinking in Wetherspoons and then go off to other places, or there's obviously we had quite a few Revolutions, so that's more of like a classy place to start drinking. Or if you just wanted to go out to a bar, we had a couple of revs that we could go to. We also had a Slug and Lettuce. We have a couple of Slug and Lettuces in Nottingham, but there's one on Corner House, which is like the main place where there's quite a few bars. So that's a really great place and a good place to have food, because they do 50% off on Mondays, so that includes cocktails. So we would go there a lot for dinner, and then like dinner and drinks. So that was really affordable. We also had a place that I went to only once or twice called Cookie Shake. So a few people would go there for prees, because it's literally like this dessert milkshake place in the day, and then in the evenings it turns into like a bar. So they do loads and loads of different flavoured of shots. And I believe like they're really reasonable. You could get like a drink and a couple of shots for like maybe £5, £10. So that was really reasonable. But some of my favourites that we went to the most was Slug and Lettuce in terms of bars. Slug and Lettuce and Revolution, plus they were next door to each other, so if we wanted to kind of go from one bar to the next, you literally went next door, and it was like a 5-minute walk from where we lived. In terms of clubs, we only really went to one, which was Rock City, so I can't really say in terms of like the most affordable, because that really was the only one that we tend to go to. So somebody else has asked, what have you found hardest about uni besides the stress of the work? So besides the stress of the work, I would say probably the pressures in your third year to have everything figured out, to know where you're going next, to get the experience that you need. Yeah, so I found in my third year that it actually was quite competitive between like the people that I was studying with, the other students, as to who's already got a training contract or who's already got something going on. So I think apart from the actual work side of things, one of the hardest things was the pressures to find jobs and to almost have everything figured out and know what you're doing afterwards. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I struggled with, but I think, yeah, just the pressures to know what you're doing next. Somebody else has asked, what are you majoring in? Again, I think this is like an American style, like people major in things in America, but what I studied was business law. And the last question that somebody asked is, how different is it from high school? So uni is very different to high schools in terms of the fact that high school, you have your lessons and every week is pretty much the same. Your years are quite similar as well. So yeah, you would have your teacher at the front of the class in school, and then you would sit there, make notes. Occasionally you'd put your hand up and answer a question. But when you go to uni, you have your dedicated seminars and lectures. So lectures are very similar to what you would, like your lessons you'd have in high school. So you'd have the teacher at the front of the classroom, although it would be a lecture hall, and you'd have, as opposed to in high school, potentially 30 people in the class. In your lectures at uni, you could have up to 300 people in the lecture theatre. And that's where you do your learning. They have these presentations, you make notes, that's where you learn the information, and then you have you won't answer a question in a lecture. Some lecturers would open like ask an open question, but typically lectures are for learning, seminars are for feeding back and applying the knowledge that you've learned in the lectures. So you always have to do your homework for the seminars and the lectures where you learn. So I guess in high school that's all combined into one. They teach you and then you respond there and then, whereas in uni you have the lecture, like I said, with about 300 people which are making notes, and then the seminars are broken down into smaller groups of 20 people, or maybe less, maybe more. A lot of the time some of the seminars were only like 12-15 people. So yeah, that's where you would apply your knowledge, and it is very different because high school you would be spoon-fed information. It's very much like a memory test. You write as much down as what you can remember, and it's not so much applying the knowledge, being analytical and critical of information and findings and research. It is more just, here's the information, remember it, regurgitate it to me when it's applicable. That's what high school is. But uni is definitely, here's the information, find out some additional information on your own, and then come back to me and apply that knowledge to a specific case study scenario, and be critical, think of alternatives, think of possible solutions to problems. So it is very much you have to do a lot of things on your own. You have to be critical, you have to have your own opinion, and it's not regurgitated like a memory test. So I think those are the main differences from high school to uni. It's just, it's a lot more independent. and you have to apply your knowledge, and the teaching and like giving back information is done in a different way. But obviously it's different because at high school you're a lot younger, so there's only so much you can take in and respond to, and then in uni you're a lot older, and there's another like certain level of expectation for you to be able to take in information, apply it, and do other things with the like research that you find. Just want to quickly add in as well, before I end this video, thank you to everybody that asked me a question. I really appreciate how many of you took the time to respond to my Instagram and leave me a message. I actually didn't have to bother too many people this time and ask them to send me a question, so it was really nice that people took the time out and left me a question so I could respond to it in a video. And I would really also appreciate if people let me know if they like this style of video, if they want me to do more Q&As, whether it's university related, personal life, mental health, that kind of thing. I'll leave my Instagram here, because I will, if that's something that you would like to see, leave me a comment and then I will ask all the questions over there. So I just want to pop in here and say I really appreciate people that have asked me a question, and I would love to do something like this again. But yeah, thank you to everybody that asked me a question. I really appreciate it. So that is everything from my Q&A. I really hope this video has been useful and you've enjoyed it. If you have, give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.